How's everyone doing? Good. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. We began to talk about Esther, the Feast of Purim, because we just celebrated it, and the youth are going to present a play on the Feast of Purim. And it's important that we stay on these feasts and that you are aware of what's going on inside of them. And so we talked about the Mosaic feast. Y'all remember that? Did you get a list of that? Okay. All right. If anybody needs a copy, yes. Yeah. I don't have many, so you may have to make copies. We began to look at the major characters of the book of Esther, the meaning of their names and the typology. And from that information, we was able to place it right alongside of the book of Esther. And things began to illuminate from the scriptures. Just as a review of those names, you have Vashti. Remember Vashti? What was the meaning of her name? And the typology is what? Old order. Old order. And then there is Ahasuerus or Xerxes. The meaning of his name is what? Lion mighty, and the typology is Jesus Christ. And remember, we said, for those who might be watching us by way of the internet, he was of a carnal nature, this king, but we're just speaking of typology. So then there was Haggai, right? His name means what? Eunuch. And typology of what? Holy Spirit. Very, very good. Then there was Haman. Right? Okay. Well, Mordecai was the next person I gave you. What's the meaning of his name? Yeah. God will enlighten, he will illuminate, and he is a type of what? Awesome, awesome. Then we get to Haman, Esther. Okay. Esther means what? Yeah. And what does myrtle mean in that sense? Okay. A myrtle meaning that she can endure any type of weather or condition. Yeah, she's able to persevere. And in typology, she's what? Okay, you got it. You got it. Now it's Haman. Okay. Haman means what? Yeah, he's got a lot of meanings to his name, right? Yeah, and he's a typology of what? Yeah. Very good. Okay. Now, without looking at your notes, what does, where do we get the name Purim? You remember that? Casting of lots. Okay. And remember, you find that in the 9th chapter. Yeah. Got it? All right. One more piece here without you looking at your notes. I got to do this with y'all. This is Bible study. Okay. Are y'all looking at your notes? Okay. Kind of, sort of. Give me the spring feast beginning with the first one. Okay. Passover's the first. And then what? All right. Okay, Miss Lily has answered twice, so I'm putting her on social silence right now. What's the next one? First fruit. Okay. And the fourth? Pentecost. Very good. Y'all are rocking and rolling here. So that brings us to the fall feast. And Feast of Trumpet. And yeah, Feast of Atonement. And then finally, Tabernacle. Yeah. Or they can be called the Feast of Booths. Very good. Now, when we come back again, we're going to start diving into the very meaning of these things. And we're just going to keep hammering and hammering and hammering till it's a part of you. Okay? Glad you're doing your homework. All right. So in this story, we got to, I believe, chapter 3. Yeah. Where Haman gets upset for what reason? Because Mordecai would not bow down before him. And we said it's a picture spiritually of the spirit refusing to bow down to the flesh. And yet in our bodies, and that's what we're dealing with now as we're dealing with this fast, is that the flesh is used to being in control and wants the spirit to bow down. But thanks be unto God, you're being victorious in your spirit. And flesh is having to come off the throne. And he's not happy about that at all. Okay, now let's go to we're still in chapter 3. As a result of Mordecai not bowing, tell me then what Haman does. That's right, right. And for the benefit of those who might be listening by way of internet, I don't want to rush through this. Let's just go ahead and read through it, beginning with verse 7 of chapter 3. Pastor Webb, would you do us the honors and reading through that for us? All the way through verse 14, please, sir.
Okay. In the first month, which is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast that is the lot before Haman to determine the day and the month until it tell on the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "This is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people of all the provinces of your kingdom. Their
Wait a
laws."
minute. Just hang on a second there. He says, there is one ethnic group
Right.
scattered throughout the peoples in every province of your kingdom, yet living in isolation. He's targeting what?
One group, ethnic group.
One ethnic group. Okay. Continue on.
And it says, therefore, is it not fitting for the king to let them remain? And then verse 9 says, if it pleases the king, let a decree be written that they be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work to bring it into the king's treasuries.
Okay, in that statement, what is that telling us about Haman?
He really hates them. And he's going to pay. Yep.
He wants power.
But he also wants to annihilate this group of people.
Yeah, so you see the flesh in motion. The flesh gets angry to the point of wanting to annihilate a group of people. Keep going.
So the king took his sign ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. And the king said to Haman, the money and the people are given to you to do with them as seems good to you. Then the king...
Wait a minute. Let's talk for a moment. Without concern or care, it seems that the king just gives Haman the right
full
to
reign.
do. The king promoted him.
That's why I said, okay, now I've been promoted, I have power
Right.
to do, and then he could proceed with his plan. And his plan
Right.
was for
Right. You see any connection here with 2018?
We're on tape, right? I'm not going to say anything.
Talk to me.
He's not killing me, he's just firing.
He's just firing them.
They don't know anything, but I told Marie last night, what he's doing, he's getting rid of everybody that won't say yes to life. You say yes to life, good, you got a job, as long as you live.
Yeah.
As long as he's there.
Yeah.
Do not go against him one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't go against Haman. And he's been given, as you said, authority, power. Let's keep going.
Then the king's scribes were called on the 13th day of the first month, and a decree was written according to all of Haman's commands to the king's satraps, to the governors who were over the earth province, to the officials of all the people in every province according to the script, and to every people in their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus it was written and sealed with the king's signet ring, and the letters were sent by the couriers into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to annihilate all the Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to plunder their possessions.
Okay, stop. Now, this is not, Brother Jackson, just an oral decree. Now, this is written.
Right, this is genocide.
It's the law to be carried out. You think of anything? Okay, I'm not going to press you too much.
I'm going to ask this question.
Yes.
When you think about things being put into the law, how our sons, primarily our sons, are feeding the prison system. Because the law has been set up in such a way for certain crimes, they be put away a long time for things that are quote unquote small things. And so the law says if you violate the law, then you'll be put into prison. And so our prison systems are being fed by our sons, primarily our sons, not our daughters, but our sons and daughters, because the law says this is what we're going to do with those individuals that look like you and me.
Very good. Very, very insightful. And so when these things are put into law, Dorothy, then it ties the hands of the judges
Right.
in the various municipalities. Even when they desire to have mercy and compassion, they are held to the laws of the land. Please. Say it out loud. Yeah. Yeah. There is a law. And those young people are waiting for something to happen on their behalf. But there's this stalling. Their lives are in limbo. And so that's a good word. That's a good word. We see here lives that are in limbo. Keep reading, Pastor.
A copy of the document was to be issued as law in every province, being published for all people, that they should be ready for that day.
Okay, thank you. Then we get to chapter 4. Mordecai learns about this. He tears his clothes, puts on ashes. You remember a scene like this ever in the Bible? Job, remember? When he was in great grief, he tears his clothes as a sign of grieving. David did the same thing. Yes. It's just a sign of deep grieving. So now we have chapter 4, where Esther is also informed of what is taking place. Miss Lily, would you read for us verses 13 through 15?
I'm reading from the Amplified. You said 13?
Yes.
Okay. Then Mordecai told them to return this answer to Esther. Do not flatter yourself that you shall escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance shall arise from the Jews from elsewhere, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows but that you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this, and for this very occasion? Then Esther told him to give this answer to Mordecai. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast for me, and neither eat nor drink for 3 days, nights, or day. I also and my maids will fast as you do. Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and did all that Esther had commanded him.
Okay. Now, you can be seated.
Okay.
There's two things that jump out for me in this particular section of the story. He says to Esther, don't think that you can escape. You're not exempt from this. And sometimes when it comes to spiritual warfare, we try to convince ourselves that maybe I won't be affected by this. But there's some things that you can't escape. Then he also says to her something very critical. He says, I don't want you to remain silent. What's the word to the body of Christ here?
You gotta speak out. You gotta tell it like it is. You gotta tell the truth.
We have to speak out. We have to speak out. When we don't, what happens? You said it before. There are many lives that are in limbo. Many lives will be affected by our silence. So we have to speak out. Now, how do we speak out is the next point. She's going to speak not but by way of words, but her spirit will speak. How? Through fasting and praying. Okay, so then we have to talk about fasting and praying. What is it? What is fasting? It's denying yourself. Okay. Patricia, would you come to the board for us? Let's talk about fasting. Tarina says that it's denying yourself. What else is it? It's commitment. Anybody else? Sacrifice. I'm loving your answers. What else? Going without? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, abstaining from food for a spiritual purpose, let's say that. Yes. And we're going to come back to that point. So then what you're saying here is that it's twofold. Dr. Oda H.F. Bertschinger says that fasting is you don't have to write this down, but fasting is a road to healing for those who agree to take it. He goes on to say it's the recovery and regeneration of the body, the mind, and the spirit. He even goes on to say that it can heal and help rheumatism of the muscles and the joints, diseases of the heart, blood vessels, circulation, respiratory, skin. It has impact for women, menstrual cycles, hot flashes, diseases of the respiratory organs, allergies, like hay fever. So, Mary Perry, it acts as a cleansing. And in this cleansing, it acts as a shield to keep us from getting sick. Think about this. This blows my mind that the children of Israel are in the wilderness, and as long as they were getting this diet from heaven, they didn't get sick. Numbers 11, let's just go there. You can go back. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary Perry. Starting with verse 4. Numbers 11, verse 4, it says, contemptible people among them. So there was a mixed multitude amongst them. It wasn't just the Jews, but there were Egyptians who decided to leave Egypt. Contemptible people among them had a strong craving for other food. The Israelites cried again and said, who will feed us meat? We remember the free fish we ate in Egypt. Lord have mercy. Along with cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now our appetite is gone. There's nothing to look at but this manna. The manna resembled coriander seed, and its appearance was like that of bdellium. The people walked around and gathered it. They ground it on a pair of grinding stones or crushed it in a mortar, then boiled it in a cooking pot and shaped it into cakes. It tasted like pastry cooked with the finest oil. When the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna would fall with it. Moses heard the people, family after family, crying at the entrance of their tents. The Lord was very angry. Moses was also provoked. And what was God's reaction to all of this? Verse 18. Tell the people, purify yourselves in readiness for tomorrow, and you will eat meat, because you cried before the Lord, who will feed us meat. We really had it good in Egypt. The Lord will give you meat, and you're going to eat till you get sick of it. You will eat meat not for 1 day or 2 days or 5 days or 10 days or 20 days, but for a whole month until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes nauseating to you because you have rejected the Lord who is among you and cried to him, why did we ever leave Egypt? And you know, many of those people died. They became so sick that they died. What did you say? Really? Yeah. I wish I had knowledge on how much time it takes the liver to process meat. But it takes much longer. And so they were consuming all of this quicker than they could process it. And their body just became full of toxins. And we do it to ourselves. God has a perfect blend for us, a perfect diet for us. We could be a lot healthier if we went with his diet. But instead, by our carnal nature, which lust for the flesh, we give the flesh what it craves. And so we become sick. Yes, ma'am.
We eat what the animals eat. They break on everything, anything, and we turn around and eat them. And that's when we know we get sick too, blood.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, on the spiritual side, what does fasting do for us? It clears our mind. We're moving away those things, that sluggishness that gets in our way of communing with God. We're able to connect with God. Our spirits are keen and alive. And so then the spiritual battle that we're having in the atmosphere, we're able to use this power. Remember the exousia, the power of God in us to combat those things. It's amazing, isn't it? Let's look at Deuteronomy 9:9. Okay, I need you to say that. Thank you.
It takes 24 to 72 hours to digest red meat, depending on the digestive tract, depending on the person.
Wait a minute. I don't think I heard you. Did you say 24 to
24 to 72 hours to digest red meat. That's why I stopped eating red meat.
My God. Exactly. You're getting the picture. And it's not just the meat, they're the other things. Right now, I'm just getting through headaches, and that's the withdrawal from caffeine. coffee and sugar. Yeah, because I have a little coffee with my cream and sugar. That's not good for you. Ooh, I wish I could. Okay. Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. What are you laughing about, Mary? Of what we do to ourselves? Oh my God. Just drinking sugar. I am convicted. Just drinking sugar. So we get this high and then we crash down low. Once you begin to fast, it's amazing in terms of how your endorphins are able to kick in and give you the energy that God intended for you to have without all of the other substitutes. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
You're training your body, you're training yourself to become diabetic. Your pancreas is taking in all this sugar, and therefore it's not going to work as hard for your body to produce insulin.
You say, I'm training myself to be a diabetic. Did you hear that, man? Zoe, did you hear what she just said to me? I'm training my body.
Become a diabetic. Yes. You're training your body, you're training your insulin not to work as hard. So the insulin, if the pancreas is not working as hard to produce insulin, because you're getting all yours from your sugar, then it'll stop working as hard. Okay. And that's when you become diabetic. Hyperglycemic, hypoglycemic. Depends which way you go. So.
That is so profound. And I can't believe you just read me like that. And I love you.
But I love you.
I'm training myself. Michael, did you hear what she said? God told Isaiah to tell the people, you're sick in the head. And we're really sick, and it begins here. And you know what? Thank you for that. That stuck. Oh my God. I could just put the microphone down now. Oh my God. What? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now, what she said to me will stick for the rest of my life.
Every time you pull that sugar, you go like, no.
Okay. All right. I had y'all to turn to Deuteronomy 9. Can we? We'll just turn there and then stop for today, because y'all have killed me today. Yes. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And Dorina, you're going to have to help me with this. Okay. Because it's the weekends when I begin to think, oh, I need some extra energy. Okay. What does this say, Michael, in Deuteronomy 9:9?
It says, when I went up on the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant that the Lord had made with you, I stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread and drank no water.
Okay. Stop. Now, do you remember Moses' countenance when he came down from the mountain? What was it? It's- He had a glow about him. I want to submit, based on what we have learned today and the studies from Dr. Birchinger, which says that the fasting brings healing to your body and even your complexion. Surely it was the glory of God that was on Moses' face, but also there was this glow that came as a result of his body being cleansed. Amen.
You know, when they bargained to just let us eat fruits and vegetables, then judge us after that. And their skin, they look better than anybody that had ate the king's food.
All right. Shalom.